Drop a like and do share. Leave your comments and do not forget to subscribe for more videos.
What's up, guys? This is Manoj Vaptani. I welcome you all on behalf of the Edupedia world. So, have you revised your topics which have already been covered under peer review 1 and peer review 2 presentations? Perfect, guys. I expect that kind of results from your end too. Perfect. So, with this, I'll mark the beginning of the third presentation wherein I'll be discussing with you the remaining topics relating to this chapter, peer review. So keep all your eyes with that particular stuff that I'm going to show you up right here and provide me all your ears now. So fasten up your seatbelts. We are about to take off with the third presentation, that is the peer review process. So in this particular presentation, I'll be just sharing with you this last topic, and that is about the peer review process. What are the stages in which peer review actually is done? Number one is the selection of the practice unit. Or with that particular stuff, I must say that the appointment who is of the person who is going to review that complete proceedings. So you need to first select that client, wherein that client, or maybe I should say better in a way, now as an auditor. So selection of that auditor who is going to be reviewed and appointment of the reviewer in that particular case, that is number one. Then whatsoever happens is, next part is the planning. So all you need to take care is the planning once you are thorough with your selection process. Next, once you are done with the planning, you need to execute whatever has been decided in your planning stuff. And finally, after executing all the entire details with that particular stuff, all you need to do is just report your complete proceedings. So that is something which I briefly provided you as a glance view. Okay, that's just a bird's eye view. So you need to select the practice unit and you need to intimate them. Then you need to select the peer reviewer, whichever is being chosen by that practicing unit. And then the reviewer is going to provide you the consent. That is the number one step, that is the selection of PU and appointment of the reviewer. If I'll talk about planning, so in planning usually information is being furnished by the practicing unit. Okay, whatever the information is being presented and provided by them to the reviewer, that has to be considered under your planning. And then you need to select a sample on the basis that is being decided by the reviewer himself. That is being done under planning. Now if I'll talk about execution, what's going to happen in execution? Number one, you need to have the initial meeting. You need to have an initial meeting with the practicing unit. Number two, the compliance review. So you need to check whether the practice unit, that is the auditor, is he doing completely with all the thorough compliances or not? Is he well versed with each and every kind of standard that is being currently applicable, and are they complying all those compliances and decision making with the help of those relevant statute guidelines or not? So all this needs to be done under your execution part as far as the compliance review is concerned. Next comes the selection of the assurance services. So what all are the different kind of assurance services that are being provided by the practice unit, the auditor? You need to check that, and out of the same you need to select a few of the assurance service engagements for your review. Next comes the review of records. So compliance and substantive approach is being used. And then finally the reporting part. So you need to prepare the preliminary report for your reviewer, okay, for your review. And next, out of the same, you'll be furnishing the same to the client, that is the auditor in this particular case, because you are doing peer review. Then you'll get the response from them, okay, response to your preliminary report. And out of the same, then after taking into observation each and every kind of points that are being provided by the practice unit to you, then you are going to draft your final report, and you need to present the same and forward it to the very dear of all of us, that is the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. So this is something which is being done under reporting part. So number one process, selection of PU and appointment of reviewer, following the planning, execution, and finally concluding with your reporting. So perfect, guys. Let's move towards each one of these processes one by one in order to get the complete understanding of peer review process, marking the beginning with the first one, that is the selection of practice unit and appointment of reviewer. So number one, you need to notify. Notification is being sent to the practice unit, that is the auditor, which will be under the review in that particular case. And once the practice unit which has been selected for peer review has been already notified by the board, Then what happens is the name of 3 reviewers are recommended to him or her. Okay, or if in case that's a CA firm, so 3 reviewers are being recommended to the entire CA firm as well. So out of this choice of having 3 reviewers, you are going to select one. Okay, the practicing unit basically selects one out of those 3 reviewers and intimate to the board within 7 days of the receipt of the name which is being chosen by him, her, or CA firm completely. Then the board shall intimate to the reviewer which has been selected and is going to seek their consent within the next 7 days. That is being done under selection of practice unit and appointment of reviewer. So notification is being sent to them. Name of 3 reviewers are recommended. Out of the same, they are going to select one and respond back to the board within 7 days. And once the board receives that intimation from the selected reviewer, for the selected reviewer, they need to seek the consent of the reviewer within the next 7 days. Are you guys clear with that? Perfect. Let's move towards the second step. And second stage is basically the planning. What will be included under planning? So planning phase is basically, guys, divided into 2 aspects. Number 1, information which is required to be furnished by the practice unit. And number 2, selection of sample by the reviewer. So let's understand the first part. That is the information which is required to be furnished by practice unit. So guys, on intimation by the board of the reviewer's consent, the practice unit shall within 15 days, they are going to furnish a few of the information. 1, duly filled questionnaire sent by the board. Board usually sends in a questionnaire. Okay, they ask a few of the questions from the practice unit. They need to fill in that stuff and they need to send it back to the board within 15 days. Okay, complete the list of assurance services, the clients indicating the nature of work that they have provided and the fees which they have charged for their period under review. Then a note on the policies and the procedures which are adopted by the practice unit in relation to their independence, their staff supervision and development. This is something which is again required to be sent to the board. And finally, the detail of any kind of proceedings against the practice unit or any of the partners or qualified assistants which are taken by any of the regulatory, monitoring or enforcement bodies relating to any kind of investigation or allegation of deficiency in the conduct of a test function which have been done by them. All these information is required to be furnished by the practice unit within a period of 15 days to the board. Now, once the same thing is being received by the board, okay, so now what's going to be happening is the selection of sample by the reviewer. So if in case you have been appointed to review any of your other chartered accountant friends, so the reviewer, that means you shall within the next 15 days of receiving the information from the practice unit, you are going to select a sample. What? Sample of the assurance services which they have actually provided, and you would like to review that. Okay, you need to intimate the same to the practice unit. So the reviewer may also seek further an additional clarification from the practice unit on the information which has been presented and the same was furnished, and if in case the same was not furnished, so you need to have that clarification done with the practice unit. And third, you need to you as a reviewer basically you shall plan for an on-site review. Okay, this is very important. So you need to have that direct face-to-face interaction with the client. In that particular case, that client is your another auditor. So the reviewer shall plan an on-site visit, okay, or an initial kind of meeting in consultation with the practice unit. So the reviewer shall give the practice unit at least 15 days time to keep ready all the necessary stuff and records for their selected assurance services. Then you and the practice unit shall mutually cooperate and ensure that the entire review process is being completed within the 90 days from the date of notifying the practice unit about the selection of the review. This is something which needs to be done. All these things, both these things will be covered under the aspect of planning. Now, are you guys clear with that? Perfect, guys. Let's move towards the third step, and that will be execution. So what's going to happen in execution? Number 1, peer review visits will be conducted at the practice unit's head office or any of the branches or their locations. This particular thing, that is the on-site review, should not extend beyond 7 working days. Okay, we are not supposed to disturb the kind of working for our another auditor friend. Okay, that's something which is extremely required to be kept in mind. So the on-site review shall not be extended beyond 7 working days. That's the maximum time that you will having. Okay, and wherein you can get the details from the client directly. Next, the compliance of the review general controls. So the reviewer is required to carry out a compliance review on many of the things. Number one is the independence. You need to check whether the independence of the another auditor was hampered while he was discharging his duties on various kind of assurance services or not. Then the maintenance of professional skills and standards. So was that person, that boy, that girl, or that man, that woman, depends on the kind of age that chartered accountant is having. So are they like really maintaining the kind of professional services and standards that they are really expected out of them, okay, as institute members? Number three, outside consultation. If in case they have like opted for something wherein they received some of the services from experts or outside consultation, so have you like really taken care of this thing that they are actually personally responsible for each and every stuff that are being done on their behalf from another person as well? So did they kept this thing in their mind or not? Then staff recruitment, supervision and development. So what all is being done in their office premises, how well articles are being created over there, how well are they like provided the leaves, how well there have been their number of working hours a week. So all these things, staff recruitment, supervision, development is being done. Next, finally, it's office administration. So how well is that particular chartered accountant is basically taking care of the office administration as well. Then comes the selection of assurance service engagements for review. So now this is something which is extremely important. So the number of assurance service engagements to be reviewed shall depend on various factors, guys. Number one, that is the standard of quality controls. So what all standard of quality controls are you like having and prevailing in place? Number two, the size and the nature of assurance service engagements undertaken by the practice unit. So there could be a company wherein the turnover is almost 5,000 crore, and there are n number of companies who are having a turnover of, let's say, just 1 crore. So if in case you are controlling one that is of 5,000 crores, and out of the same against that you are controlling 1 crore entities, so absolutely in that particular case this 5,000 crore entity is going to be a much bigger aspect for you guys, because that's going to affect the size and the nature of the kind of assurance service that you will be providing. Next, the kind of methodology you have like adopted while discharging your duties under those assurance services that is being adopted by that practice unit. So on the basis of that, you are going to select your sample. So apart from this, the number of partners or members who have been like involved in the assurance services engagements, then the number of locations, fees charged, all these things have been like taken care of while you are going to select any of the assurance service engagements for review. Are you guys clear with that? Perfect. And in that particular case, from the initial sample which has been like selected at a planning stage, the reviewer in consultation with the practice unit may reduce or enlarge the initial sample size of assurance services engagements for review. That is something which can be done. And finally, this execution step will conclude with the review of records based on two approaches. Number one, compliance approach. Number two, substantive approach. Compliance approach is basically for this assurance service engagements. So the compliance approach is basically to assess whether proper control procedures have been like established and followed by the practice unit or not, to ensure that the assurance services are being performed in accordance with the technical, professional and ethical standards. Remember guys, last presentation. And what all needs to be like addressed and considered while you provide your compliance approach? Number one, the assurance service records for administration. Number two, the review and evaluation of system of internal controls. What all internal controls are there in the place and how well are they being moving. Then comes substantive tests. You need to take care of them as well. The financial statements presentation. How well have you been like taking care of the financial statements and how well are they like presented. Next comes the assurance services conclusions and assurance services reporting. This will be covered under the compliance approach. And then moving towards the substantive one. So substantive is a kind of approach which requires a review of assurance working papers in order to establish to the extent of compliance whether the assurance work has been like carried as per the technical, ethical and professional standards or not. So that is the basic difference between compliance and substantive approach. Perfect. Let's move towards the last stage, and that will be reporting. So what all you need to remember? Number one, that the peer review report should state the system of quality control for the assurance services of the practice unit for a period under review has been designed so as to carry out the assurance services in a manner that ensures compliance with technical, professional and ethical standards. That is something which is expected out of you if in case you are doing your peer review. The peer review report shall address various things of compliance. Number one, I told you of independence. Number two, maintenance of professional skills and standards. Number three, outside consultation. Number four, staff recruitment, supervision and development. And number five, office administration. So while you are doing that stuff, all you need to take care is the kind of discussions and communications on the finding. So once you are completely done with your on-site review, you as a reviewer, before making your final report to the board, you shall communicate all your findings with that preliminary report to the practice unit, and you are going to take his or her opinion. Remember that. So the systems, the procedures that are being deficient and non-compliant, you need to provide them up. Okay, you need to provide the complete opinion, and then what's going to happen is the practice unit shall within the next 15 days, once they are going to receive your findings, they'll make any kind of submission or representation that they want to make in writing to the reviewer. And once you receive that particular stuff, and if in case you are satisfied with the kind of reply that you have received from the practice unit, you shall submit your peer review report to the board along with the initial findings in response to with the practice unit and the manner in which the responses have been dealt with. A copy of the report shall be forwarded to the practice unit as well, guys. Remember that. If in case, that is number one situation. Number two, what if you are not satisfied? Okay, you as a reviewer are of the opinion that the response which is being provided by the practice unit is just not satisfactory. Then in that particular case, what's going to happen is you as a reviewer shall accordingly submit a modified report to the board incorporating the reasons for the same. The reviewer shall also submit the initial findings response basically by the practice unit as well, and the manner in which the responses have been dealt with. A copy of the same will be forwarded to practice unit as well. And if in case you have modified your report, the board shall order a follow-on review. This is something their internal term wherein they provide you the basis on what grounds this thing has changed. So the board shall order a follow-on review after a period of 1 year from the date of issue of report, and if in case the board so decides, the period of 1 year may be reduced as well and shall not be subject to less than being 6 months from the date of issue of report. This is something which will be covered under your reporting part. You need to report on your compliance with respect to these following areas of control, be it independence, maintenance of professional skills and standards, outside consultation, staff recruitment, supervision and development, office administration, and then you need to discuss your findings with the person around, that is your practicing unit, with the kind of preliminary report that you will be preparing. And once you are satisfied with the kind of responses that you receive from them, and if in case you are completely thoroughly satisfied, you can offer a clean kind of report, the peer review report, with your seniors around as well, along with your practicing unit. You need to forward the copy to the same along with a copy to the board. And if in case you are not satisfied, then you are going to provide a modified report to the board. However, keep in mind, even if you are providing the modified report, still you need to provide the peer review report to practice unit as well. This thing will be covered under reporting part. I hope I was able to provide you the complete understanding with respect to this peer review stages, or I should say peer review process. So, are you guys clear with the same thing? All you need to do is just revise the topic, because that is something which is extremely crucial for you guys. Why? Because this chapter is again very important. Each time 4 marks question usually comes out of it. So remember that. With this chapter stands complete. I'll see you in the next presentation with one of the fascinating and a good chapter altogether in a new while for you guys. Till then, sayonara, take care, God bless you all. Thank you on behalf of the Edupedia world. Keep interacting via questions, queries and YouTube comment boxes. I will love to answer each one of your queries and grievances. If in case you have liked our video, do give us a thumbs up. Thank you so much, guys. Stay connected. That will help us in understanding your needs way better. Sayonara, God bless you all. See you in the next presentation. Bye.